Everybody, welcome back to Chicken Fried Growth, where go-to-market, AI, and the Deep South collide. I am your host, David York, and I'm here with my co-host, Sarah Mosley.
Hey, y'all.
All right, and we have got a great show for you today. We are going to talk about two really interesting topics. One that is near and dear to every Southerner, which is NASCAR.
Vroom, vroom, baby.
So we are going to cover and talk a little bit about NASCAR's kind of foray into trying to become hip, which is actually a thing. Yes, they're yeah. You're saying that they're not hip by saying they're trying to become hip. Is that what you're accusing me of? Saying they're not hip?
Hip already. How can you say they're just trying?
No, all right, fair point. Depends on who you ask, apparently. Right. And then the second topic we're going to cover today is all about why AI layoffs lack imagination. And there was a really interesting quote from Nvidia that we'll talk about. And then I've got a great story about imagination with AI from IKEA that you're going to love hearing.
Great. It's a really...
But first,
yes,
NASCAR.
Woo!
I'm going to be honest. I am not a NASCAR fan, and so that again, I'm giving away with my Southern bona fides.
Giving it on live camera.
I know. There's something about like watching a circle going around in a circle. I don't mind racing. Now, I'll be honest. I don't mind racing. Like I enjoy the ones where there's just more than just left turns the whole time.
Right.
So a good road race or an F1 race or something like that, where I'm like, oh, we're going in different directions.
Flats, I get you.
Yeah. So I don't mind it, but it's never been my cup of tea. Yeah. Sarah, how about you?
I maybe confess, I actually won tickets when I was in Virginia, from Coca-Cola.
All right.
And I was unable to go, but some folks at my church nearly cried when I gave them the tickets because they were thrilled with it. I mean, they were really nice. Like they were $100 tickets. So had the good seats. And I believe that was back in the day when one of the Dales was a big deal. So they were really...
Senior or junior?
I believe it would be junior.
Okay.
So, I mean, if it's senior, I'm really dating myself.
Well.
So, yeah, other than, our little foray into sort of, I guess it would be a NASCAR minor leagues, would it be? Do you remember when Staff was sponsoring the Porsche races?
Oh, yeah.
Dan Pastorini.
Yeah, okay.
And he had a car, and that's probably the only really race I've been to, although in Cherokee, Alabama, where my daddy grew up, just right across the river, they have basically feeder races, drag races, that those are people that eventually want to qualify for NASCAR because just 2 hours down the road is Talladega.
Yeah.
Where that's what I'm saying. If you go over the speed limit, you will get a ticket. Every time I go through there, I'm like, y'all better do 65. You better do it. Because if you're not, the Popo's going to get you.
They were like, the only people allowed to speed in Talladega city limits are NASCAR drivers.
I know. And you know what? I think it is that bad because I think like people are like jacked up from the race. They're like, woo, let's hit the open freeway. And like, that's what's going down. But I've never been through there without seeing, and I'm not kidding you, less than 4 state troopers.
Yeah. And you got to lock it down.
It's a blip. I mean, you blink and you're through the town in no time, but boy, they're on you. That's a speed trap for sure.
So I did spend just on the NASCAR week. So I did live in Charlotte for a few years, and they have the NASCAR Hall of Fame.
Yeah, they do.
Is in downtown Charlotte, and it is kind of the epicenter of NASCAR to some degree. I did not know that when I moved there. That was news to me, and I got there and I'm driving around. I'm like, oh, there's a museum here. There's a whole literal giant NASCAR museum in the downtown.
Right.
Right. It looks like a museum of art, but it's museum of NASCAR. Did you go? You know what? I did not go. I'm going to be honest. I never went. I know.
There are some wrongs you're going to have to make right.
I know, apparently. So NASCAR, I ran across this because I was thinking about, because Michael Jordan is now a NASCAR team owner.
Wow. Okay.
and which makes sense. He's from Charlotte, so that there is a through line there. It's just not like just randomly. He lives in Charlotte, so he's kind of in the NASCAR epicenter to some degree. But his teams had been, and I don't over the last few weeks have been winning races, and so that was
Oh, that's
what kind of
cool.
like piqued my interest to go like, well, NASCAR is a very Southern topic, deep South topic.
Totally.
And here's Michael Jordan, who has come in and he's a relatively new owner. And now he's winning all these races. And so I started just doing a little bit of research and digging in. And I realized, oh, wow, NASCAR is got a little bit of a thing going on. So a couple of years ago, Pitbull had come in and become a part, like an owner. He's not anymore. And he's still like, I think, performing at the Daytona 500. That's happening. And then, of course, NASCAR just did their new television deal, and they signed Amazon Prime up as one of their television partners.
I,
And what they noted in the article I read was that the viewership of 18 to 34, I think that's the kind of the demographic
right.
bump 18 to 34 year olds, has gone up like 55%, even though overall ratings have actually declined a little bit, but they are bumping way up in that younger demographic, which is interesting. So I thought that was just an interesting thing from a go-to-market standpoint about how they are definitely working hard. And I don't know, I mean, they're having some success because
Right.
the numbers, right, the television numbers show it.
For sure.
But as viewership is declining, they're kind of trying to reinvigorate a youthfulness into the sport, bringing in different types of owners that you wouldn't really see there, performances from people like Mr. Worldwide. Because you gotta, if you just say Pitbull every time, then like Mr. Worldwide.
Yeah.
You have to say it like that. Like
Of course.
it's just it's
Yeah.
just necessary.
Yeah.
But I thought that was an interesting thing about how their demographic is changing and how they're really trying to push into these younger demographics, changing their audiences, their outlets or where they're streaming. I also read that they just had started like a Substack, like they're going all in to
Really are.
yeah.
That's it. That's full commitment. It is smart though to go after that younger generation, because if you get them, and if I remember correctly, 18 to 34, those are the people spending the most money.
Right. They have the most money to spend. They're at their
Yeah.
kind of peak
In
spending
income.
time frame. Yeah. And they're all in that kind of upward trajectory where they're getting promotions, they're getting more money. They haven't, they've got all that. They have typically more discretionary income,
Yes.
all of those things. And my assumption is this is probably, if you're thinking about NASCAR's peak, where they really were peaking in the early 90s, I would say.
Yeah.
Or in the 90s, and that, right, in the maybe early 2000s,
Right.
that demographic is probably getting to a certain age 20 to 30 years later, where they're just not watching as religiously as they were before, just due to their overall age.
Right. Well, that's smart on their part, just to pull the younger folks in and stuff, and get them turning left at an early age.
So keep your eye out for the hip factor and see who pops up in your NASCAR feed, right? If Post Malone is doing a concert,
Yes.
yeah,
That's what I was thinking of, because I feel like with his little relationship with Canes and then the Dallas Cowboys, it was insane. I had to do some research for another client on the success of that. Was over the top. Like that Canes that's in Dallas, the one that's Dallas Cowboys themed.
Yep.
It makes like 6 times more money than any other Canes like in the US, and like multiple Canes come up. Like it's crazy. So I could see where NASCAR be like, okay, let's Let's pull in
Yeah.
Pitbull. Let's get on this train, because when they do theme things like that, it does bring in it brings in the young people, and fresh money, fresh perspective, fresh take. So
Well, and I'll say this because we harp on this a little bit when we're talking about kind of AI and digital, right? Like
right,
18 to 25-year-olds in particular are very starved for experiential types of things. They're almost like kind of having like a digital rebellion a little bit. And so a NASCAR race is an absolute experience,
yeah, it's
right? Like
working.
it is communal, it is in person, it is tactile, right? Everything about it is physical.
Yeah,
There's nothing digital really about it per se. It is all about physical things and like in real life stuff.
right.
So there's a smart move to go after that generation because they are having a bit of a kind of backlash in that demographic from all the digital stuff.
I think that combo with COVID, because they didn't get to do a bunch of fun things.
Mm-hmm.
They missed out on all the
Yeah.
music festivals and all that kind of stuff. So I could see, yeah, smart. Go NASCAR, vroom vroom.
So speaking of AI,
Yes, good segue.
Speaking of AI, so the CEO of Nvidia came out a few weeks ago, actually, and had some very interesting commentary about AI and AI layoffs. And he basically came out and said that if executives that are using artificial intelligence as a justification for layoffs
Right.
actually have a lack of imagination.
He's right.
In other words, you've run out of good ideas if you're just laying people off because of AI.
Yeah.
And he basically just said that. He's like, we're companies where the leadership is out of ideas, they have nothing else to do, so they don't do something more with all of this opportunity, with all of these resources.
Right.
They just lay them off. And so I'm going to tell you the story that really is probably the most interesting proof point to what he said. So IKEA, pretty much everybody knows IKEA.
Yes.
You've all been to an IKEA. Very small furniture and small places.
You can put it together.
Down in Texas, we do have IKEAs, but I was like, do we need anything that small? Do we need to fit everything in such a small space here in Texas? Everything's big here. I do have that thought every time I go into there. But I do have a few IKEA things in my house, just a couple things here and there.
Really pretty IKEA bedspread on my bed at home. So
yeah, there you go.
Good 100% organic cotton bedspread.
I like that. 100% organic. Thank you for the specificity of that. That's really appreciated. Okay, so IKEA, big, massive global company.
Yes.
They introduced their AI chatbot called Billy. If you know, Billy is the name from their bookcase. One of their most popular items, but they named their chatbot Billy. How cute is that?
Adorable.
Billy took on 47% of their customer service interactions without needing human involvement. Okay. So that obviously huge opportunity for AI to come in and optimize their business, right? Like 47% without human interactions. That's
so what
huge.
happens to all the people that were taking this 47%?
Exactly. So they had listen to this. They had 8,500 people in customer service.
Oh my gosh, I believe it.
So some company out there would have laid off those 8,500 people.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
That would seem like, hey, why not? We can save all of the money for these 8,500 people.
Sure.
But here's what IKEA did, and this is really, really interesting. IKEA said, we don't want to lay off those 8,500 people because
love IKEA.
There's something we've been wanting to do as a business for a long time, and that is to have design consultants.
Smart.
That can help our customers actually do layouts and furnishings and all those types of things.
Brilliant.
So what they did is they took those 8,500 people and they retrained them. They upskilled them, right? To use a very common term from today.
Yes.
They upskilled these 8,500 or reskilled, whichever one you like today,
Okay.
those 8,500 employees, and they trained them to be design consultants. So just think about it. Those 8,500 people already knew everything about IKEA's product catalog.
Yeah.
They knew all the details. They probably knew like everything you needed to
Yeah.
know. And because they'd been doing customer service for all this period of time.
Yeah.
So they reskilled them to be design consultants. And it probably didn't take a ton of work because, again, they already knew the products.
Yeah.
Those reskilled employees that were now design consultants led to $1.4 billion in new revenue in the first year of them working as consultants for IKEA.
I love that. I love that so much. And Microsoft and all the others take notes because, you know, I've heard so much, as you have too, about, oh, we're going to upskill or reskill or whatever. And then they'll quietly lay people off because they just put them in a training course and felt like, well, I did my due diligence checkbox. I'm done. Now I'm going to do this for Wall Street, cut some head count and show them, you know, I'm saving this money, instead of doing what IKEA did and saying, okay, what have we always wanted to do? And this is what you've always talked about, is taking the time to reimagine things. And they did it. And look at what they did when they reimagined things. Like, okay, we've always wanted to do this. What does this look like? How can we invest in our people in a way that makes sense? And they did it. I love that.
And I would probably venture to say that the money that they made is probably more than the money that they would have saved.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
And now they have a whole new part of their business that offers, and simultaneously they're offering more value to their existing customers and to new customers than they probably were before.
Yes, absolutely. And they didn't create 8,500 enemies, because I always think about that's got to be a big thing too, because when you have a mass layoff, when you drop, 15,000 people, 8,000 people here, you just left a bad taste in everybody's mouth that had believed in the vision and mission and was on board. You kicked them out. What's going to happen? Word of mouth is so powerful. And I think people forget about that. But, they just, oh, it's all going to come out in the wash. Well, it will, but it might be stained in the wash. It might not look good. So, yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So the PR is great.
Mm-hmm.
The opportunity that they had with customer service is great because it's doing what they do. So they can say all the right things. Hey, we've adopted AI and it's doing all this amazing stuff in our business. And we were able to generate $1.4 billion in net new revenue. Like, that's new money that they didn't have.
Well, and you know what I'd be interested to see? I bet their customer goodwill is up. I bet if they take a sample of that, that's going to be up, because not only are customers getting what they want, which is, I need help laying this room out. I really want to use this, but it's crowding this and that. But also when people find out, oh, they didn't lay everybody off, they kept them. Oh, now I'm a super fan. Now I'm a diehard. That to me means as much as something being organic. Like, it's so important because people care about other people. And so to know that a company is doing good, is not only making good, but doing good. Yeah, I could get behind that. And so can most people.
It's almost like every time the CEO of Costco comes out saying that the $1.50 hot dog is never going to go up past the $1.50.
Yeah.
I feel like every time he says that, you get like a boost of good vibes towards Costco, right? Yeah. It's the same type of thing. You just building, like, every time he says it, and he says it pretty regularly now, because it's like, why not? Because everybody is like, yeah, love that guy. Yeah. Like, I love him not raising the price of a hot dog.
Thanks
it's the same type of feeling.
We give you all our money, and you're going to give us a hot dog for $1.50.
Exactly. Well, and I mean, if you dive in deeper to Costco, like the pay and everything else and the benefits that like the level of care that they have as a business overall with their employees is really, really great. I mean, there's tons of other learnings there.
Yeah.
But that's just another side of it, which, to your point, it creates like brand equity.
Yes.
At the end of the day, which I think is what you're describing, right? It's like when I think about IKEA, now that I know this story, and
Oh,
I will, and you probably will too. Like when I think about IKEA, now that I know this story, I'm going to have good feelings about IKEA. And I'm going to be like, you know what? I need that fluffer stuff dot thing, whatever whatever it's called.
the
The
farfignution.
yeah, the snarf blot.
Yeah.
I'm going to go get that now because I just because I have this positive feeling, and there's like a, it's like almost like a little boost of serotonin that you get when somebody
Yeah.
says IKEA. Oh, remember IKEA? They didn't lay off those 8,500 people when they could have.
Yeah.
They reskilled them and made more money. And that's the funny thing about it is going back to the Nvidia CEO
Right.
quote. It really is true what he was saying, and he wasn't saying it out of the blue. It wasn't like he was just randomly saying this. He's really saying that, and that IKEA is the perfect story, which is if you have any imagination at all, if you're thinking about
Yeah.
bigger and better things
Yes.
for your company,
Yeah.
and you're thinking outside of the box, and you're thinking about, because IKEA basically was like, oh, you know what? We've been wanting to do this
Yes.
for so long.
Yeah.
Now we have the opportunity to do it. And we have this whole set of people that is just sitting here ready, already 75% of the way trained to do this. Like now we get to do this one thing that we couldn't previously have thought about doing.
Yeah.
And that's that imagination piece, right? They're like, oh yeah, we're imagining something better. And then they went and did it. And by the way, it was a smashing success.
Yes. And it's a win-win too, like on the people side, because think about this, you already have, so the people that are in customer service, they're already naturally gifted at problem solving. That's why they're there. They're good at interacting with people. You've given them a career trajectory of up. So what's the next step up? Oh, to become a designer, to be able to, have that notoriety and respect and all that kind of stuff. So you've given everybody an uplift, and I love it. I'm all about that. And it's funny because I'll bring this up really quick. One of the things that you and I had talked about was Klarna did the exact opposite. And one of the Forbes editors was covering it. They had laid off 7,500 of their employees, and it just was a hot mess. All of their business tanked, and they realized, oh, hey, wait, people are important to our process, and we can't just fob off everything onto AI and call it a day. And they ended up hiring every last single one of them back, and then some, and turning things around, because what their CEO said is, he was like, it might be one thing to say that you're more efficient, but is the quality there, and are your customers happy at the end of the day? Have you given them the human interaction that they need to feel confident in your company? And he was like, from now on, we're all about people. And I was like, I love that.
Well, only whenever we weren't.
Yeah, they had to learn the lesson hardly, but they learned
Only
it.
after we
Yeah.
decided, we only decided we were after we decided we were, and that didn't work. So
Yeah,
suddenly we're all about people.
we tanked, and now we know. Yeah, so they got a little spank, but they learned it.
Well, and I think that's one of the interesting things, right, is that, and Mark Schaefer writes about this sometimes, talking about the most human company wins.
Oh yeah.
At the end of the day, and I think that is exaggerated and going to be multiplied in the age of AI
Yes.
exponentially.
Yeah.
Is the most human companies, because everybody has this kind of ick about AI layoffs, right?
Yeah.
Because every human being, we put all of our differences aside, right? Like we put all of our political differences and all that kind of stuff aside. Once you put all those things aside, every human being wants other human beings to flourish.
Yeah.
Deep down.
Oh, yeah.
Like we want to see everybody all has the same hopes and dreams. We all want to be successful. We all want the best for our kids.
Yeah.
We all want the same things at the end of the day. We might disagree with the path to get there,
Sure.
but we all want to end up at the same place.
Healthy
and so everybody probably already has, but is getting more and more of the ick
Yeah.
as it relates to these layoffs. And so the companies that are the most human that make these choices, like IKEA and others,
Yeah.
they're the ones that are going to win at the end of the day, because the people that have to buy their products are still going to be human beings. Like, that is kind of redundant, but that's the Department of Redundancy department. The people that have to buy their products are human beings. Well, no joke.
Yeah.
But humans are going to be who buys their products at the end of the
Yes.
day, and that's the critical path.
Yes. Yeah. Very smart. I love it.
All right. Well, thanks everybody, and tune in next time. We will have some fun Southern topics and some go-to-market topics and some AI topics to talk about. We'll see you soon.
Yep.